So obviously with the general election, with city council, it looks that 2/3 of the people on council are going to be new, which is a big change. And also it does seem that more people are more moderate leaning. How do you think this can change the direction of the city? Is this a new chapter for the city with so many new people on our city council?
Well, I think that we have an exciting opportunity in front of us, but the narrative that they're more conservative or more centrist and the progressives are out, my narrative for the city is that people are pretty much saying the same things, even if they're in one lane or another. So I'm not going to subscribe to this notion that the whole culture, the whole values have changed in city government. Quite frankly, I think they're the same. I think some of the tactics may be a little better. In other words, I think you're going to have a council that is listening and more aligned with the people, a little more focused on the basics. But even in these races, I heard most of them talking about public safety as a priority. I heard sheltering people. I heard treating people with drug addictions. And so I don't think that this whole, the sea change occurred that people are saying. I just think that we have a great opportunity in front of us. And a collaborative relationship will develop, and I'm excited about it.
What do you hope to see in the first 100 days of these people taking office? What do you want to see them focus in on? What do you want to see them accomplish?
First of all, I think that this council will be aligned with me on public safety strategies, that they're willing to try new things such as technology. I think our old council, quite frankly, we're sort of coming along with the things that I want to try. I think the new council will have an emphasis on health strategies, realizing we're not the health entity that the county is, but we could work collaboratively with the county to improve our health outcomes. I've talked to many of them about this. Next year we have a transportation levy that we're going to develop. I think they're going to really, again, focus on some of the basics, whether it's potholes or bridge maintenance or capital repairs that need to be done. I think you're going to see a sort of a double down approach on some of the basics in the city. And I also think they realize we have a budget deficit. So working with me, they're going to look at how efficiently we're running city government, as they should. And so, again, I followed their races closely, and I really like the ideas that were coming from this new incoming class.
And I know all 5 people you endorsed do look like they're going to be elected to the council. How do you think that will help you pass policy in the next year, and what type of policies do you want to pass with their help?
Yeah, I think it'll help because the only thing, I tried to meet with everyone that was running. I almost all of them I met with, and I just said, the only thing I ask is that you work hard to try to understand what we're trying to do as an administration, and I will equally work hard to try to understand what your vision is for the city. It's just a win-win scenario of listening. I think you're going to see that next year. And that was the friendships, if you will, that I tried to establish in city government. We don't have to fight. We all lose when we fight. Specifically, I think that helping me get the right kind of officers, the care department in place, officer morale, helping me build up officer morale and giving more officers an opportunity to serve. I think they're in there with me, helping recruit officers and do that kind of work. I think in terms of our housing strategy, what got lost, sort of the lead was buried, that we passed the biggest housing levy in our history, almost $1 billion. And so I think working with the housing developers, the community, this is going to be some exciting work. Just this morning I had breakfast with the head of the Housing Development Consortium, Patience Malaba, and we talked about the opportunity we have. And so one of my opportunities will be to make sure she's aligned and talking to and befriending the new council. So you're going to see housing strategies, health strategies, and public safety strategy, I think, in an unprecedented way, because they're going to understand our vision, and we're going to understand where they want to take it. And I think what the voters did was they voted for people that are aligned with what we're trying to do. And how cool is that?
And over, obviously, the past 4 years, the city council term, the pandemic, downtown recovery, there was a lot of unexpected things to deal with. Do you think now it's kind of like you got it started and it's kind of getting deeper into those policies?
Yeah, I took my grandkids out for dinner downtown the other night. And I talked to a lot of people during that evening, and everyone is saying the same thing. We're heading in the right direction. People are feeling as though we have a good trajectory in front of us. And so, yes, I think we've laid the ground floor, but I'd also tell folks that during the toughest time, during the pandemic and when streets were bare and again, the health challenges we all faced. That's the best time to plan. That's the best time to talk about policy development, strategic planning, et cetera, cost control. So no matter what hand we're dealt as a city, we are resilient, we're smart, we're innovative. And so, yeah, we got through some tough times, but we're just getting started. It's like the Husky momentum, right? You win these close games, you keep fighting and keep fighting. So that's why I like to use that as an analogy, that this city is resilient. Look what they've done. They elected a very diverse group. We have 2 African Americans serving on the council. We have LGBTQ plus members serving on the council. We have a person I think identifies as Puerto Rican heritage. I mean, we have a diverse set of leaders here with diverse experiences, all very smart. And so I think we have a great opportunity in front of us. And so let's get to work. That's the way I look at it.
Do you think this is a more diverse group than the past council? And do you think they'll be able to uphold the needs of minority groups in our city?
Well, that's a good question. I just don't compare councils to councils, teams to teams. I'm very proud of the work I did with the outgoing council. I'm going to say some goodbyes, and I have friendships with them on the second floor. So, you deal with the team you have, and you do the best you could. And so we have a great team coming up, though, I'll tell you that much.
And then in District 2, you did not endorse anyone in that race with Tammy Morales and Tanya Wu. A lot of people, obviously, Mosqueda is going to be leaving her seat to go to King County Council, and there has been talk with some people saying they would like to see Tanya Wu fill that seat. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, Tanya ran a phenomenal race. She's an outstanding community leader. It's the council's decision, so I'm sure they'll get dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds of people come out. And again, I'm just looking for a person that is much aligned with, I think, where the voters want us to go around those core areas of public safety, health strategies, homelessness strategies, and but Tanya's probably will be one of many very qualified, committed people coming up. And I'm not going to weigh in on that. I'm just going to let the council do their thing. I've had to sit through a few appointments when I was on the council, and it's a great process to see who's willing to serve. And I'm very confident that we'll get some really good candidates.
And I know the city council decides that, but you don't plan to weigh in on that process?
Well, if anybody asks for opinions, I'll give opinions, but I'm very confident you're going to get 3, 4, 5, 6 people that are going to rise to the top. And so I don't want to, they're a separate branch of government. I don't want to put my thumb on the scale. I'm sure they'll make a good decision. I'm very confident in that.
And you brought up the budget deficit. What are some of the big challenges that the city council is kind of going to have to address pretty quickly once they start?
Again, our city employees we have some phenomenal city employees, and as we speak, we're of course trying to look at the wages and the efficiencies in city government, working with our labor partners. And so they're going to have to look at the balance between how much we can do with existing resources, what our needs are. I know they're having these discussions now. So being sort of the fiscal guardians, if you will, of the budget, and still pushing forward the things we'll need, such as our transportation needs, our bridge maintenance needs, the needs of our city employees. It's going to be a tough year for them to understand the complexities of municipal finance. They'll get up to speed, and my administration will be very available to them. One of the things we've done in my administration, I make it crystal clear that my department heads are partners to the city council. I don't believe that we put these artificial barriers up where it's us versus them. And so I was very pleased to hear that from many council members how available I make all of my department heads. When you work for my administration, you embrace transparency and collaborative partnerships. That's our core philosophy. So the new council will look at all of our financial challenges. It'll be north of $200 million deficit, but our departments are in there with them figuring this out.
And then this year, we are on track to surpass our most homicides ever in Seattle. As the top leader in our city, do you take any responsibility with that, and how do you plan to work with the city council to change that trend over the next year?
Yeah, well, the homicide rate in our city and nationwide is alarming. And, for me, it's not necessarily do I take responsibility. It's my job to make sure people are safe. So, of course, whenever I hear of anyone that is murdered, it saddens me. I probably attended more funeral services and talk to more grieving widows and partners probably than anyone around, because I ran on a platform to keep people safe. Now, the fact is we live in a gun culture, that our country, compared to other countries, we have more handguns and more violence through and death through guns than any other country. I think we understand that. So this council and I will look at new ways to solve these issues, whether it's better gun laws that a city can enact. Right now we can't enact any. We're preempted through state law. Whether it's working with our state legislators to come up with better, more effective laws, then they need to understand that that's what we need as a city. Whether it's working with community-based organizations to find out who's pulling the trigger. Why are these people, many of whom have untreated trauma, committing acts of violence? How do we go upstream to solve that as well? Through our land use code, how do we create an environment that is not conducive toward violence, but conducive toward positive activity, art, culture, singing? We have a very strong integrated policy. And I closed on the issue of violence by saying this: if anyone has a great idea on what to implement, we're a learning organization. We read everything we can, we'll implement it. So rather than pointing fingers at whose fault it is, and if the fingers point at me, I'm the mayor. Tell us what policies and what can be implemented to help save lives. Because at the end of the day, we want to save lives. So I am saddened whenever I see a needless death in the city of Seattle.
I know a big focus obviously has been on your downtown activation plan the next few months. Is that something you're hoping this new council can keep carrying forward? I know you've done things like open City Hall Park. There's been a lot of improvements that have been seen around downtown. How do you hope to carry that on?
Yeah, I think they all, when running, were extremely supportive of our downtown activation plan, and this activation through environmental design, through small business renovations, through even whether it's tax policy or housing policy, looking at the new downtown and what it will look like. And I know they're very supportive of it. So this is where it's going to be a lot of fun. We want more foot traffic downtown. We want to make, we asked the question, what does the new downtown look like? Is it a place where there's more daycare, there's more parks, is there more music and art and culture, is there more workout facilities? What brings people downtown to work and to play? And so all of this is factored into our downtown activation plan. We welcome new ideas, and I think this new council understands it.
And back in 2020, several city council members did pledge to take 50% of the funding away from the police department. That did not happen, but I know the police department is still struggling with staffing. We've talked about that before. How do you hope the new council can help with getting SPD more officers?
Yeah, first of all, I think that they have to, rather than just be the role of critic, they have to dive in with me, and they can look at the data on what we're trying to do. That, again, police departments around the country, to some extent, have had sort of a culture of exclusion that, it's a club, and you have to be really good to get in this club. But now police departments are saying we have to be more welcoming because people are not joining the way they used to join. Right now, we're getting over 6 to 7 applications a day. We're changing that narrative. So then we look at the process by which someone gets in. How can we still keep the caliber of that strong officer that we want, but realize where we're being unrealistic or we're not being timely? This new council, I want them to share this plight with me. I see, it's very seductive for a council member just to be on the outside and criticize and criticize. No one wins on that. And what I'm suggesting is if they have some great ideas we can implement, we will. I plan on taking many of the officers around to actually, many of the city council members around to meet the police officers. Come to the precincts with me, come to where they are, have discussions, and so you can see what we're trying to develop. Come to the 911 call center. I visited there a few weeks ago where you see our dispatch services. Get to really know the nuts and bolts of our public safety department so you can support it, and you may have new ideas as well, and we welcome those.